Right now at 6, here we go again. Another stretch of heat is about to hit the Chicago area. Brent Miller here to tell us how hot it's going to get and how long this will last. A Chicago violence interrupter is facing gun charges, but he claims he's innocent. And tonight, the former Secretary of Education and former head of Chicago Public Schools says he will testify on his behalf. The Chicago Fire soccer team insists its new stadium will be privately funded. But today, aldermen approved a plan that could still leave taxpayers on the hook with a hefty bill.
Live from Studio A at NBC Tower and Chicago's next generation newsroom, built to serve you anywhere, anytime. This is NBC 5 News.
Thank you so much for joining us at 6 o'clock. Good evening. I'm Stephen Holt. Allison Rosati has the night off tonight. So, yeah, it's coming back. The heat making return this week, and so is an air quality alert today. Meteorologist Brent Miller here to walk us through the forecast and how hot it's going to get.
And Stephen, here's the difference from the last episode we had. We had strong southerly winds that pushed a lot of humidity up into the atmosphere. That's not the case at this point. What we have is a light wind now. You saw those heat warnings, that magenta color, heat advisory, with the exception of Cook County. What's happening here is because the winds aren't strong out of the south, pollution is just going to sit here, primarily ozone and particulates. Look at this. This is the air quality right now. You can see unhealthy conditions, and it will stay that way as long as this big bubble of hot air stays upon us. 92, the current temperature in Chicago. The feels-like temperature very close to the air temperature. Dew points in the 60s, so it's much more comfortable. You can see that little shade of yellow indicating some comfort there. Air temperatures over the next several days will be in the 90s, so don't disregard the fact that it's hot. If you have respiratory issues, try to stay in air conditioning because that pollution will be the primary story there in the atmosphere. The feels-like temperatures are going to push those numbers near 100 as we roll through the next several days. Relief could arrive on Thursday. We'll share the latest forecast coming up. Stefan, back to you.
Okay, Brad, we appreciate it. Thank you, sir. So right now, police are intensifying their search now for a missing man in Kane County. That search has shut down a forest preserve and a campground. 59-year-old Adam Kurtz was last seen leaving his home early yesterday afternoon in the Timber Trail subdivision in Gilbert's. He was last seen riding a black Trek mountain bike, wearing black tank top, dark shorts, and a white baseball hat. Take a good look at the picture here. Police are asking for your help. If you've seen Adam or you have any information that could help find him, pick up the phone and call police. Former Education Secretary and former CPS CEO Arnie Duncan is defending a Southside violence interrupter who's now facing serious gun charges. Duncan says Nakia Smith was trying to do the right thing by turning a gun over to Chicago police. Instead, he could be sent back to prison. NBC5's Christian Farr is on the story live in the newsroom for us. Christian?
Well, Steph, and Arnie Duncan was ready to testify on Nakia Smith's behalf today, but his trial was postponed to a later date. Duncan says Smith has turned his life around. Smith says in the past he was arrested for gun and drug crimes, but has spent years fighting to stop violence on the streets of Chicago.
He's out pushing peace all the time, a warrior for peace.
Arnie Duncan changed his schedule this morning to speak out on behalf of Nakia Smith, a convicted felon.
Let's stop fighting and let's build.
Who Duncan says now fights to stop violence and works closely with Duncan's gun violence reduction organization, Chicago Cred.
We go out with our outreach workers who walk at night. He's just out there with us. He's got like a little doom buggy. He's got his sounds. He's rapping all positive, all stop the violence stuff. I keep joking with my team, like, we got to hire this guy. We got to hire this guy. He's so good. He just wants to be part of it.
I've been in prison in and out messing up all my life.
But in 2013, Smith says he decided to change by working with at-risk youth and helping to build community gardens on the South Side. In March of 2023, Smith brought a gun that one of his workers found here to CPD's 5th District headquarters to turn it into officers.
When I took the weapon in, I went to try to surrender to the police station, and they arrested me, and I stayed in the county for 7 months. And I'm right now, 2 years later, still fighting the case, trying to prove my innocence.
If convicted, Smith's attorney says he faces serious prison time, partly because of his past criminal record. In an emailed statement, the Cook County State's Attorney's Office said that they are committed to prosecuting all cases based on the evidence while ensuring fairness, integrity, and due process for everyone involved. Combating gun violence is a top priority of the office. Duncan and Smith hope this can end without prison time.
I appreciate Ani, and I thank you. I thank him so much.
I hope they can see his character, see who he is as a man, see what he represents to the community, and we need his help on the streets. We don't need him locked up again.
Now, Nakia Smith's trial is set for August 10th at a Cook County courthouse in Bridgeview. Since he has been charged with a Class X felony, his attorney says he could serve 6 to 30 years in prison if convicted. Stephen?
Christian Farr in the newsroom with the story for us. Christian, thank you so much. The race for Chicago mayor is already getting interesting. At least 2 likely contenders are asking voters for one job in November, but then campaigning for mayor in February. So what happens if they win both elections? Turns out Governor Pritzker could end up with a pretty big say in this. Political reporter Marianne Ahern joins us to explain how this would work.
All right, well, there are 2 candidates that might impact. Congressman Mike Quigley, he has already said he's running for re-election, and he's also running for mayor. Another candidate who is likely to do the same, hasn't yet announced but is expected to, is Secretary of State Alexei Giannoulias. Giannoulias started running TV ads today, touting his accomplishments as Secretary of State. The ads also raise his name recognition as he considers simultaneously that mayor's race. What if he wins both of those offices? Governor Pritzker will play a big role as he would get to appoint a temporary replacement. Election law says there would be more than 28 months remaining in his term. There would be a special election. That means in November 2028, there would be a contest for those remaining 2 years of his term. That office is often viewed as a stepping stone. David Grising is with the Better Government Association.
Thank you all for being. The Secretary of State's office has been a launching pad for the governor's office. Some people are wondering why Alexei would want to run for mayor when the governor's office could be open in due time, and he would be a shoo-in, presumably, for that job. Another question is, why in the world would anybody want a job of mayor of the city of Chicago, given all the problems that Chicago is dealing with? That said, the fact that he knows what he's looking at, he would go into this with open eyes, and who knows what it might lead to.
And we do expect Giannoulias to make his decision very soon.
It's a tough job, and someone's got to do it, right?
Exactly.
What about Congressman Quigley? I mean, he's running for Congress, then potentially running for mayor, or he is running for mayor, right?
He has already said, he's officially said that he is in.
Yeah.
So in Quigley's case, the governor does not appoint a replacement, but he does set the date for a special election. And again, Illinois election law this time states if there are more than 240 days before the next general election, the governor shall issue a writ of election within 5 days, and that election to take place within 6 months. There is some history here. Back in 1988, then Cook County State's Attorney Richard M. Daley dodged questions about the mayor's race until after he won his 3rd term, and then a month later announced, yes, he was a mayoral candidate. Now, State Comptroller Susana Mendoza, she's doing something completely different. She's decided not to run for 2 offices, imagine that, and is only focusing on the mayor's race.
I can bet that that's a little confusing trying to figure out the messaging, but at the same time, some of the issues are relative between the state and the city.
And with politics being all local, it's going to be all in on the mayor's race. Yeah. It really will be.
Yeah, a lot of focus on that. I know you're excited for that.
Of course.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Second turn, right now the Illinois Tollway Authority is holding its first public hearing over a proposed toll hike. This would include a 45-cent increase for iPass users, 90-cent increase for non-iPass users, and then commercial vehicle rates would increase about 30%. So when does this start? Well, if it goes through, it would take effect January 1st. There will also be a hearing tomorrow. That's from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Roosevelt University. The Chicago Fire soccer team is building its new stadium in the South Loop at the 78, and they've pledged to do it entirely with private funds. But it appears taxpayers could be still footing a hefty bill for infrastructure upgrades. Paris Schutz is live at City Hall this afternoon, where that was the big debate among aldermen today. Paris?
Stephen, it was a big debate, but in the end, City Council's Finance Committee approved a $424 million public financing package for infrastructure around that new stadium on the South Loop parcel of land known as the 78. But not all taxpayers say this is a wise use of their money. Construction cranes are up and crews are hard at work in the heat, building the $750 million home of the Chicago Fire. But taxpayers will foot the bill for infrastructure improvements. $424 million. That package includes $216 million for a parking garage, $100 million in road costs, $36 million for metro upgrades, and other things like a new river wall.
Not one taxpayer dollar will be used to fund the construction of the stadium, its operating costs, or private vertical development.
Mayor Johnson and the Department of Planning and Development proposed a package. Funds come out of tax increment financing, or TIF funds. That's where incremental increases in property taxes get siphoned into special accounts controlled by the mayor to spend on projects like this. 34th Ward Alderman Bill Conway says he's not on board.
At a time when Chicagoans are struggling with public safety concerns, concerned about the CTA, streets crumbling, the fact that we just approved $250 million for a stadium complex to include a plaza and a parking garage, I think makes no sense.
A spokesperson for Related Midwest, which is the company that owns the land, praised the vote today and said, quote, "Our vision for Chicago's next great neighborhood relies on TIF-supported infrastructure. Once complete, will help bring billions of dollars in private investment to a long dormant stretch of downtown riverfront." But earlier, a coalition of residents on the near south side say today's vote amounts to a taxpayer giveaway to a wealthy private developer.
We just want to make the call here today for TIFs to be used to benefit all public members, not just paid parking.
So this full package is going to be voted on by the full city council on Wednesday. There was some unfinished business today, and that was the sale of the Chicago parking meters from Morgan Stanley to another company called Stone Peak. City council has to approve it. They've delayed this vote. They delayed it once again. But it looks like alders are souring on this, and Stone Peak has said it would sue if the city does not approve this sale of the parking meters. So that will live to fight another day, Stefan.
Oh, we're going to see how that turns out. Paris Schutz, live at City Hall. Thank you so much, Paris. Appreciate it. There's a new member of the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. Coming up after the break, meet Ruthie. Ruthie's a new comfort dog who just officially completed her first day on the job. Also ahead, of Northwest Indiana High School announces its reopening plan for the new school year after the school was damaged by a tornado last month. So listen to this. The American Red Cross just declared an emergency blood shortage. The nation's blood supply fell about 25% in the month of June. Hospitals see a higher demand for blood during the summer months because statistically there's a higher risk of traumatic injuries. O positive and B negative blood types are needed the most.
In trauma incidents, also, doctors have to make a decision about how much blood a patient gets, and which then ultimately impacts recovery. So we want to make sure that we maintain a stable blood supply.
If you want to help out, you can sign up to give blood at redcrossblood.org, and anyone who donates through the end of the month will get a free movie ticket. Cook County State's Attorney's Office has a new four-legged member of the team there today. State's Attorney Eileen O'Neill Burke officially welcomed Ruthie as the office's domestic violence courthouse new comfort dog. 2-year-old golden retriever will support victims and witnesses in cases prosecuted by the Special Victims Bureau. Ruthie officially started her new job after today's swearing-in ceremony.
Ruthie is going to be a tremendous asset to this office as she gives boundless joy and comfort to people who need a bright light in their day.
Ruthie was raised and trained by Healing Hearts, a nonprofit in Tinley Park that prepares comfort dogs to help people coping with trauma, stress, and emotional hardship. Let's send things over to sports and Luke Canellis. Hey, Luke.
Hey, Stephen. Bulls play their second summer league game tonight. What will rookie Caleb Wilson do for an encore? CHSN's Bulls host Cam Smith tells us. Hey, baseball retooled its home run derby tonight. The $1 million top prize is an entire one-year salary for half the field. Not for Munetaka Murakami. Mooney tells us why he'll be swinging for the fences next in sports.
The Northwest Indiana High School, damaged by that tornado last month, will be back open in time for the fall semester. And Durant High School in Maryville announced today that students will be back in the classroom on August 13th as planned. Campus was hit hard by a tornado back on June 11th. You see a lot of the damage there on campus. School leaders say classrooms and other buildings are still being restored with new furnishings, new technology, and other improvements after that storm. Still cleaning up, Brandon Miller, after all that severe.
Yeah, and we wind up with still a potential. We got a long way to go in severe weather season. Here's what we're dealing with now. The humidity is not as bad as it was the last outbreak, and we'll explain that in a moment. We do have heat advisories close to Chicago. And again, the criteria here in Illinois, a little different perhaps than what you're seeing in Wisconsin and Indiana. We do have a pollution issue, though. Because we don't have the strong winds that we had the last heat episode, pollution just sits here. Here's the current readings from the EPA on healthy conditions across Chicagoland. Look at this. Look tomorrow as we just sit here with light winds and not a lot of mixing, nothing to push this stuff out of here. Temperatures in the 90s. Current temperature is 92. Because the dew points are in the 60s, so what it feels like to your body is very close to the air temperature, so no big heat indices number. But as we move through the week, you may see those heat indices values increasing a bit. 98 for the high tomorrow. Because of the dry air, we're going to see some of those higher temperatures. Thursday, a chance of a shower thunderstorm. Not that we're looking for that, but that does offer some relief. And into Friday and the weekend, even though it's still 90 degrees, heat indices will make it feel like it's close to 100, but a day-to-day chance of showers and thunderstorms. So we exchange the heat and dry, polluted conditions for perhaps some cooler air and showers and thunderstorms into the weekend. This big high, different from last time. Last time we had the heat, it was sitting back here to the east. Now it's sitting here to the west, and it's not grabbing a lot of Gulf moisture and dragging it up toward Chicago. That's a good thing. Here's a plot of the jet stream, the upper atmospheric steering winds. You can see here, we get this big blocking pattern around the periphery of that big high. There's that ring of fire. Thunderstorms are popping up in the Dakotas and along the Canadian border. Look what happens as we get toward Thursday. It starts to buckle and turn a little bit towards Chicago. You can see some of the winds turning off Lake Michigan. That may set up a lake breeze here, and we may wind up with some showers and thunderstorms right along the lake breeze. And then this pattern continues as we move through Friday and into the weekend, a day-to-day chance of showers and thunderstorms. And it's too soon to really nail down the potential for any of these storms to be severe. But you've seen what we've gone through so far this season. So keep your guard up. We'll have a better handle on the weekend as we get a little bit closer, but certainly some scattered showers and thunderstorms possible toward the end of the week. Temperature profile, mid to upper 90s. Next couple of days, the dew points in the 60s, so not as sticky as it was last time, but still check on the elderly and especially those that may have respiratory issues because we do have pollution that's trapped in the atmosphere. Hopefully, some relief by Thursday into the weekend, and Stefan will look at all the new information tonight at 10.
We'll see you then, Brand. Thank you.
Whoever digs the long ball is going to love tonight in Philly. Hey, it's the Home Run Derby. Little different this year. No 40 homer rounds and no timed round either. Hitters will get 20 swings in the first round, 15 in the second, 15 in the third. Changes made to protect hitters like the White Sox Munetaka Murakami, who just came off the injured list and joined the Pat McAfee Show.
When I was looking through the Home Run Derby this year, the rules has changed. If it was the past rules in the past seasons, I probably wouldn't have been able to make it. But since the rules changed, I was more, let's say, optimistic about being out there and getting into the participation.
I can't wait to see Mooney. Bulls back on the court against Utah in the Summer League tonight. Darren Peterson, second pick in the draft, will sit this one out. Caleb Wilson's playing. CHSN Bulls host Cam Smith joined us last night on Sports Sunday. Said Wilson will be looking to improve on his debut that saw him set a rookie Summer League record with 35 points.
You're going to have your setbacks. You have the 6 turnovers, some ill-advised shots, some defensive lapses. But at the same time, you have a guy that is going to take what we saw from in that first game with film work, with coaches like Tiago Splitter and that coaching staff to make improvements. So I'm expecting a bigger effort and a better effort from Caleb Wilson Monday night when they face off against Darren Peterson and the Utah Jazz in Vegas.
Can't wait. We'll have highlights at 10. NFL teams still on summer vacation, giving us media guys the chance to drum up our own types of stories and rankings. Latest, a poll of NFL coaches, executives, scouts who ranked Caleb Williams 10th best quarterback in the NFL, 1 spot behind Detroit's Jared Goff and 2 ahead of Green Bay's Jordan Love. I like that. Finally, golf's third major, the Open Championship. This week in England, pros have access to all sorts of technology stuff and to improve their game. Check this out. What is U.S. Open champ Wyndham Clark using there today on the range? That is a wooden coat hanger. Looks like he was using it to help with his wrist angle.
Or a guide or something.
Hey, whatever it takes to win, go for it.
I might have to try that.
Yeah,
I mean, if it works for him.
That coat hanger tomorrow.
Just in case.
So I can use it on the range on Wednesday.
There you go. Will do. Lou, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Coming up after the break, a two-day camp in Chicago is inspiring the next generation of firefighters. We're going to take you to Camp Courage coming up in just a bit. And then tonight on the NBC 5 News at 10, this was an incident caught on video over the weekend. A cyclist got into a confrontation with two other bikers after a collision on the lakefront trail. We'll see what else happened tonight on the NBC 5 News at 10.
Hey, well, now move forward. Let's go. We have to move forward.
Okay, this has got to be the coolest summer camp in Chicago, all aimed at inspiring future firefighters. It's called Camp Courage. It lets teens learn about the tools, the techniques, all they need to save lives. These are kids 13 to 17 who get a chance to gear up for some hands-on experience on what it's like to be a firefighter and an EMT. At the end of the two-day camp, kids earn a graduation ceremony to celebrate their accomplishments. The last session is full for the summer. I can't understand why. Looks really cool. But you can find out more and plan for next year on the Chicago Fire Department's Facebook page. Great way to introduce kids on.
Great idea. And learn those safety skills that could pay off anytime, any place. All right, let's give you an idea of what we're dealing with. We made this graphic to give you an idea why it's so hot. And that purple area, that's the actual jet stream being plotted here by our computer model. Watch what happens as it starts to bend off to the south. When it does that, you'll see some of those thunderstorms up near Winnipeg. You'll see that trend starts to build. All the moisture from the Gulf of Mexico is kind of bottled up to the south there. And the next chance, perhaps, of a shower or thunderstorm occurs right along the Chicago lakefront. Look what the European model is saying, perhaps thunderstorms in the afternoon hours of Thursday. That offers some limited relief. Then we get to Friday into the weekend, still a chance of showers and thunderstorms, and that will bring the real relief from the 90s. Look for temperatures in the 80s over the weekend. I hate to exchange the potential for heat for wrecking a weekend, but we did have last weekend. We can look in the rearview mirror, and it's not as ugly as the 4th of July was. So 90s, check on anyone that has respiratory issues because pollution will be a problem next couple of days. Hopefully that model is correct, and we'll see some relief by Thursday into the weekend, and we'll have new information. We'll share that tonight at 10 o'clock.
Just a little bit of relief, just a lot of heat, but at least not so much of the humidity that we have
for now. Yeah.
Okay. Brent Miller, thank you very much. And thank you very much for joining us. That's our news for now. Of course, if you want the latest news, weather, and sports updates anytime, download the NBC Chicago app. That's going to be fun. That is going to be a lot. And we will have highlights. Look forward. Access Hollywood is next. We'll see you back here at 10. Good night.